Batting fourth, the designated player, number 4. Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 20, Blake Underwood. Batting fourth, number 50.
Hello, fastball fans, and welcome to the 2018 ISC World Tournament here in Kitchener, Ontario at the Peter Hallman Ball Yard. Lance Wynn alongside my broadcast partner, first time this year, Blair Setford. Glad to have you with us here as this matchup, Game 56, will feature the Ostrander Norsemen taking on the Hallman Cubs. And Blair, when we look at this game and look at this matchup, I think you have to look at the two guys in the circle, one, of course, being Daniel Chapman for the Norsemen.
He's having a great week, already thrown a no-hitter, that in their opening game, a 12-0 win against the Kitchener Bell Cartage Outlaws. But what really stood out with Daniel Chapman was the 2-1 win over the J&B Bombers, last year's finalists, the number 4 ranked team here in the ISC, and Ostrander ranked 14, a big, big upset early in the week to knock J&B down to the losers bracket. But that win mostly, not solely, but mostly on the shoulders of Daniel Chapman.
Well, mostly is good when you talk about setting the stage here for an undefeated game. And, of course, the winner of this game will take on the winner of our previous game, which was the New York Gremlins. Just quickly set the batting order for you. First for the Norsemen, it'll be Matthias Minigatti to lead things off, followed by Cisco Sabate. Ryan Merriman is the number 3 hitter, followed by Federico Olsheiser. Colin Carson is the number 5 hitter. Luke King bats 6. Brandon Miners in the 7th spot. Dan Alstad in the 8th hole, and Augustin Gomez Emmanuel will be batting 9th. Defensively for the Cubs, and this is a team that's been together. The nucleus has been together for a long time, Blair, and I know you know that. So it'll be Bob Gillow, the veteran, out in left field. Alan Picard will be in center. Blake Underwood is in right field. Looks like Matt Lyon will be at the hot corner. Dan Mitchell, of course, has spent some time in the circle, plays a little of everything. He's at short. Adam Hiller is at second base. Colin Walsh will be at first. And Juan Zara will be catching for Himio Mata, of course. And Mata, no stranger to international competition, led the way for Argentina in the junior ranks, has now made a very effective and efficient jump to the bigs. And a big test here as he will be the go-to guy here as we're just underway. First pitch to the leadoff hitter, Minigatti, is in there for a called strike.
These two will be no strangers to each other, both from Argentina and specifically the Paraná area, where fast pitch is such a prevalent sport in Argentina, otherwise ruled by football, which, of course, in North America is soccer.
Yes, we've got to make sure we're very specific on the football. No balls, 2 strikes to Minigatti. Sorry, Miniguti. And a good nibble from Mata. Good place to miss. That was a pretty good 0-2 pitch.
You'll find both of the leadoff batters for these teams tonight are slappers, and not quite in the old traditional sense, but that's all they do. But both Alan Picard and Miniguti are got the ability to put the ball on the ground and run very quickly.
And you saw it there as Mata nibbling again, didn't catch any of the corner. Count run even now, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The Cubs electing to go with the more traditional defense. Some teams elect to bring the second baseman in very close to the pitcher and have the first baseman stay back. Not seeing that here from the Cubs, at least on the opening inning.
Wide open stance, feet moving, hard to touch the ball there, and Minagudi is a strikeout victim, the first of the game for Mata, and the first out for the Cubs.
Lance, probably the last guy who was really the master at that was Paul Rosebush, who just went into the Hall of Fame on Sunday, and we had him up here in the booth on Sunday night. You had a nice chat with Paul?
Absolutely, and we actually brought up that, the ability to be able to slap and be moving in the box, and what an art it is, and how we see some of these kids. Slow roller to second base, easy play there for Hiller, and they're quickly 2 away. We were talking about how these young kids, they think now you turn and all that movement and it looks great show and you're throwing off the D and really, but they're not actually making contact. And it's a real art to be able to have your feet moving, your body moving, and still be able to keep that bat head still to make contact and put the ball where you want. So you're right, a master of that. Paul Rosebush, I'm still waiting for the next Paul Rosebush to come along.
We might be waiting a while for that one because he may be the last in that particular line.
I think you just might be right there as Ryan Merriman looks at a first pitch ball down low from Mata. Took something off, ground ball fielded by Mr. Lyon. Hands over there, gets the job done, 5-3 on the putout, 1-2-3, down go the Norsemen. It will be the Cubs to bat when we come back here on the ISC Network.
Still haven't been to an ISC event? Then stop waiting. Check out our website or social media pages to see when the next event will be near you and come be a part of the experience.
Back here for the home half, set the batting order for the Hallman Cubs. It'll be Alan Piquer to lead things off, followed by Colin Walsh batting in the 2 spot. Wanzara bats 3rd. Himo Mata is the cleanup hitter. Blake Underwood bats 5th. Dan Mitchell 6th. Bob Gillow in the 7th spot. Matty Lyons will be batting 8th, and Adam Hiller will round out the 9. Defensively for the Norsemen, it'll be Callum Carson out in left field, Matthias Minagudi in center, and Federico Olheiser out in right field. Luke King's at the hot corner. Brandon Miner's the shortstop. Augustin Emmanuel is at second base. Cisco Sabate at first, and Ryan Merriman catching for Daniel Chapman. So first look here, as far as I go, at Daniel Chapman here since he's made the jump. Blair, what have you seen?
Well, like I said, the last time that we saw this particular young man, you and I, was 2016 in Midland when he was winning a silver medal in the junior men's WBSC championship for New Zealand. I was speaking with one of the umpires who did the Ostrander game the other night against J&B, and he was just very impressed with the velocity that the young man had, as well as his ability to spot the ball in and out. So we'll keep an eye on that over the course of the game. Very good rise ball, very good drop ball. I was uninformed about the change, so we'll have to keep an eye for that as well.
Well, if you're uninformed, goodness, I don't know what I am, man. First pitch from Chapman looked about letter high and not quite sure if he got the call. We'll have to wait. Didn't see the signal. So I'm going to assume it's a 1 ball, no strike count. Definitely in there for a called strike.
You see this particular camera angle here, and you'll get a sense of the velocity of Daniel Chapman. This one coming right into your living room here. We'll stay with this shot.
Kerr pokes that one out, and that's going to drop into no man's land. Made a big turn, overran the ball out there. Did Minagudi, but it didn't come back to hurt them as Piquer is on with a leadoff single.
Well, Piquer kind of blew a tire going around first base. Had he been able to stay upright, he would have easily had second with the overrun, but both sides had a bit of a bobble there.
So stepping in now will be Colin Walsh, and with a runner aboard, thoroughly expect him to try his best to, at the very least, move the runner along as he looks at a pitch down and out for a ball. Back to work, runner goes, throw down, not in time. So a good jump from Piquet as he swipes that bag easily. And now Colin Walsh has a runner in scoring position, and the Cubs looking good here in the early going. And that one chopped just foul. A good twist there from Walsh, but a better pitch from Chapman. So Chapman's going to get tested right here in the early going. Working ahead, 1-2 in the count. And 1-2 grounded, and it's through the hole on the left side. Rounding third and coming in to score easily is Piquet. So a well-manufactured run, a clutch hit from Walsh, and just like that, two batters, 1-0 for the Cubs.
That is exactly as you just said, Lance. Well-manufactured. Single, stolen base, and a clutch hit indeed. And I'm really impressed there, and I've seen this guy run before, but you really get a sense of it here with Alan Piquet, how quickly he went from second to home there. And it only looked like about 5 or 6 strides, too, kind of like Benny Anoka, the long stride.
Well, you're right, and you look and you would expect even a throw with the fielder charging, but by the time the fielder picked up that ball, he had already touched third, and there was no way you were going to get the speedy Piquet. So Wanzara now steps in with a runner aboard. One away. I don't see one away. I see one away on the board. I don't have one away on the book. Nobody down, as it'll be starting from scratch here, and we'll see if Zara, the number 3 hitter, is going to play small ball or if they're going to let him hit away. What's your call, manager? Your team seems to be doing okay on the right side of the ship today. Things seem to be going okay for 3 cheers for 3 beers.
3 Cheers Pub was on fire today. We started early, got a run, and I just had that sense that if we got one, we were going to get a whole bunch. It worked out that way. Big 6-0 win, 10-3, and 7-0. So the boys scored 23 runs in 3 games, and we'll move on in ISC 2 play and play in the 4th place game tomorrow morning at 10.
All right, bright and early for you, sir. You've had nothing but long days here, as it'll be Humo Mata. Not only does Mata spend time in the circle, he also bats cleanup, and you can see there as that was a very healthy cut on that Chapman offering.
Well, Saturday night, Huemo Mata came to the plate in the bottom of the 9th inning with the bases loaded, an opportunity for a walk-off grand slam, and he got it in spades.
That ball chopped just foul down the third baseline. Definitely a pull hitter. He's not tardy on much. Got good bat speed.
Lance, this game tonight, too, a real good indication of how the game has changed for the better, in my mind, with all of the international flavor. There are a lot of Argentine players in this game, some Canadians, and it's a really good mix of skill sets with power, with speed.
That shot through the left side, base hit. No chance to go to third on the play was Walsh, but a single for Mata puts 2 men aboard now for Blake Underwood.
You add in the Kiwi pitcher for Ostrander, and it's a real good indication of just the international flavor now here in the ISC, the emphasis on the international.
Well, I think when you look at things in the grand scheme of fastball, you could have that year where you have the major senior men's or you have the junior men's, but this ISC World Tournament is a mainstay. And regardless of where you're from and what your obligations are to your host nation, this is the tournament where all the All-Stars spread out, go to different teams, and play off for the best team wins. So to me, I enjoy the international setup, But when you allow the best guys to go to whatever team they want, play with whoever, to me that just makes things a little more dramatic.
And it's been a really competitive ISC World Tournament here to a certain degree as well. I think you've got clear co-favorites with the Gremlins and the Hill United Chiefs, or the Hill United Chiefs and the New York Gremlins, whatever order you want to put them in personally. Maybe they're a little bit head and shoulders above everybody else, but anybody can beat anybody on a given day. The Circle Tap Dukes looked really good last night. Roman Godoy seeming finally to round into form. There is still the J&B Bombers coming through the back door. And don't count out this Hallman Cubs team. They're hitting the ball very well. They're getting very good pitching from Huemo Mata. And wouldn't it be interesting if it comes down to a Final Four matchup that includes both the Twins and the Cubs? I think Jim Hallman would be thrilled. We had him in the other night. Who do you cheer for? And he just said everybody.
I don't know.
Hallman, no, I think he actually said Twins.
Yeah, Hallman against Hallman at Hallman. So not quite sure, as down goes Underwood. Swings through that pitch for a third strike, and now with 2 away, it'll be Dan Mitchell, a chance here to add a couple more runs as they lead by 1. And Blair, you've had the privilege of being at a number of these tournaments, but more importantly, you've seen and played, but you've seen these teams grow together. You've seen these Cubs for years and years, and the nucleus with Gillo and a few of the other guys that are mainstays. And I mean, how does that make you feel when you get a chance to watch them now close to being at the level where they've been fighting to be for the last number of years?
Well, I look at our board here that's got the lineup on it. Matty Lyon, Danny Mitchell, Adam Hiller have been a mainstay on this team. Bobby Gillo, you can put him into that category as well. Brad Thompson, who is now coaching third base but still plays actively with them during the week, steps aside on weekends. Blake Underwood was a recent addition, meaning kind of came in the last 5 years or so. So this is a team that really did grow up together, very similar to the Elmira Expos. And then they've made some key additions. You look at, obviously, Huemo Mata, Juan Cruzera, who has come in, Alan Picayer the last couple of years. And they've had other guys come and go. Colin Walsh looks to be a keeper as well, playing first base here tonight, can also play the outfield. Is also a very, very good left-handed pitcher. So I like the makeup of this Cubs team. I really do.
So couldn't hold back and went around, did Mitchell. And the count now even 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think that's one of the beauties of being able to be up in the booth here, is to see teams retool, see what adjustments they make in the offseason, who ends up where. You know, 1 or 2 guys can really tip the scale of things. Big cut there as Mitchell just missed that pitch.
Well, you had Darren Derrickson as a guest in the last game. Of course, Darren, the sponsor of Circle Tap, they're the host team next year, so they've been looking to beef up. They added Blair Ezekiel, they added Roman Godoy. We expect Wayne Laulu will be back next year. So you put him into the middle of that lineup now, and now suddenly that's gone from a top 5 team maybe to a top 3.
So a beautiful changeup and an excellent time for that from Daniel Chapman. Back-to-back strikeouts. Gets him out of a jam. He surrenders a run. It's 1-0 for the Cubs. We've played 1 complete back here on ISC TV.
Whatever your delivery requirements are across North America, Skelton Truck Lines provides you with reliable, safe, and high-quality service at a fair price. Skelton Truck Lines equipment is satellite tracked and delivers small parcel, less than truckload, and expedited shipments throughout Canada and the U.S. With over 50 years of experience and more than 50 trucks serving 4 divisions, Skelton Truck Lines is a thriving Ontario business and a proud Fastball sponsor. Visit us online at skeltontruck.com. Thanks to Mike Skelton for supporting the broadcast.
For all your team uniform and equipment needs, fastball, slow pitch, and hockey, for players and teams, make sure you visit Corbett's Source for Sports on the South Service Road in Oakville, Ontario. There's a lot of deals to be had on all kinds of equipment. Thank you to Paul Hurd and Corbett's Source for Sports for their generous sponsorship of the broadcast program.
Back here for the top of the second inning. It'll be the 4, 5, 6 hitters for the Norsemen in Olheiser, Carson, and Luke King, the scheduled 3 hitters here to face Huemo Mata. And doesn't seem like there's a lot Mata doesn't do, Blair. He's in the circle. He bats clean up. I mean, he can hit the ball. He can throw the ball. He's got, comes from a good fastball lineage for sure. And, I mean, you've seen more so than I have. Now, I've seen him in junior, but how have you found his transition to the big leagues been for him?
Well, it's interesting. He came out of the junior ranks alongside of Roman Godoy, and for about 3 or 4 years, the last 3 years, I think, I would have put Roman Godoy ahead of Huemo Mata. This year, I would flip that around. Mata, to me, has emerged as a dominant two-way player, and it's just one of those guys, whether he's in the circle as he is tonight or when he's in the batter's box, you kind of have to stop and watch.
So a big rip there as that one's lifted foul by Federico Olheiser.
He's putting on the types of dominating performances that we start to expect as players become a top 10 or a top 5 pitcher. And Huemo Mata, I think, is emerging into that. Roman Godoy was there, and then I thought took a step backwards with some of the performances this year. Looked really, really good last night against the Hallman Twins, however. And I think, it'd be great to see the two of them match up somewhere along the line here this week as well.
Wouldn't that be ironic, to say the least, as that one is lifted a mile high. Fielders converging, calling it, and making the play, though, out there was Blake Underwood. Good job of taking control for the first out of the inning.
Well, that's exactly how you're supposed to make that play for younger players. The infielder goes back until he gets called off by the outfielder. And you saw that from Adam Hiller going back. Blake Underwood said, no, mine, I've got it. And Hiller bailed out of the way.
And as an infielder, you are waiting to hear your fielder call you off, because making that over-the-shoulder catch is no easy task.
No, that's no prize at all. Lance, the third team out there tonight in the dark blue uniforms behind the plate. Freddie Malaches, our home plate umpire at first. It's John Hand over at third, Brandon Bloom. I had all three of these guys today, all of them outstanding umpires. I'm trying to be nice this year.
I just lost my breath. Wasn't quite sure. Train of thought went too. It's just like, I don't know what's going. Just checking to see.
Even Varm
really,
had good things to say about the umpires last night.
Oh my goodness, that's Callum Carson in the batter's box, and you've just witnessed it here. Blair Setford. It's funny how things change when you go from the play-in side to the managerial side, about how diplomacy all of a sudden seems to be a factor. So good for you for getting on that there. 3 cheers.
The Blue Brotherhood. I'm an honorary member.
Yeah, according to you, okay. We'll leave it at that. No, fair enough. Carson with some work to do. A 2-1 count. And a swing and a miss. So a good drop ball from Mata. Runs the count even now, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, Callum Carson is another good young player, unless I'm totally mistaken, from New Zealand as well. And I think was also on that 2016 junior men's team that got the silver medal.
You are correct. So you always see the best players seem to culminate at the ISC World Tournament.
Well, got to give a lot of credit to the guy who runs this Ostrander team, Brett Legler. He's obviously done some great scouting here, coming up with Chapman. Olheiser was on the 2012 and 2014 Argentina junior men's teams. Some great young players here. And then mixing in some veterans. Ryan Merriman, terrific catcher. Cisco Sabate has been in the game for quite a long time, can do some pitching, hits, plays the infield. A real good mix of young players and veterans to help mentor them along. And Brett has done a great job, and this team ranked 14, but playing above that here in the winners bracket.
Well, I think now that you spent a few years on the managerial side of things, as down he goes, Mata gassed that one up on the outside corner. Second strikeout of the game for Hemul, and that will bring up the number 6 hitter in Luke King. And I don't think a lot of people, Blair, really understand the art of building a team. They may know what to do when you play on a team, trying out for a team. but it's different on the coaching aspect of things. What have you learned over the course of the last couple of years that you think has prepared you to come in and step in and take over that role with 3 Cheers?
Well, I mean, this was a ready-made team, and they asked me very late in the game if I would be willing to come along and coach. They were looking for somebody just to come in and take on that role in the games. Lee Coase has put this team together. But when you're assembling a team, it's as much about the players and the personalities. And you look at some great teams on paper who just never gelled over the years. And you know, the old Boston Red Sox story, you got 25 cabs going in separate directions at the end of the game. It's much better if everybody piles into one cab and goes to the same place. I
would agree. And this sport's all about chemistry. As Mata, I think that was at least the 3rd changeup that Mata has thrown in this at bat to Luke King. So clearly Mata's putting that little bug in the back of all the hitters' minds. Not that you need it. The kid already throws hard enough, has got a variety of pitches that way. But I think understanding the value of being able to change speeds, I think that's what will make his stay up here in the bigs a lengthy one. And he comes right in with gas. So back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning. 1, 2, 3, down go the Norsemen. No runs, no hits, nobody left aboard. 1-0 to score in favor of the Cubs. Back here with the home half of 2 after this.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3, and the Kitchener River Shark Twins repeat. Back to back Jets. It's the local kid who wins it. Swing and a miss. Jarvis, 3-peats. Adam Falker, absolutely. Here comes the throw to the plate. Are the world champions. 2015 ISC Men's World Champions.
Shane Bowen has hit the game-winning home run, and the Toronto Gators are world champions.
It's Adam on to first, and the 89 Chiefs back to the top of the mountain.
ISC Canada East, home of champions.
Back here for the home half of the 2nd inning. It'll be 7, 8, 9 in Gillow, Lyon, and Hiller. The scheduled 3 for their first look at Daniel Chapman. Cubs leading this one 1-0. Lance Wynn alongside Blair Setford. Glad to have you with us here as we are putting the stamp on day 5 of competition. This, of course, game number 56.
Lance, Bobby Gillow is a perfect example of making adjustments as you progress through the game over the years. Bobby used to be just a dead pull hitter, would never hit anything past the second baseman, and you could almost play the shift when Bobby was up. As time has gone on, as he's matured as a hitter and as a player, now uses the whole field. His stance really hasn't changed that much. He's still got the hands up back behind the ear, but he now will use the whole field. He'll take that outside pitch and hit it in the 5.5 hole past the shortstop.
Well, it's amazing, and you've probably seen Gillow throughout almost his entire career, if I'm not being too facetious and jumping to that conclusion, but I mean, just only because you've been around the game along. You talk about the Gordon Horseshoe League and the Mississauga League before that. And so you've been involved and you've seen Gillow for a while. And those are the kind of things, Blair, that not a lot of people picked up on because they haven't seen, as that one is lifted up into shallow left. And despite the obstruction, a good grab out there from Carson, and they're one away.
Well, in the past, Bobby would have rolled over on that pitch, and it would have been a 2-hopper out to the second baseman. Fly out here, but taking the ball to the opposite field.
So in will step Matty Lyon. And, of course, Matty again, another mainstay here with the Cubs. Matty Lyon spent some time with the Snappers, too, I believe.
In the past, has been a member of the Niagara Snappers. He and I are at the same hotel here, the Holiday Inn.
Slow scribbler, 2-hopper, over and a high throw, but a good job to bring that down in Sabate. So King's throw a little high, Sabate's grab just in time to record the second out, and that will bring up the number 9 hitter in Adam Hiller.
Just going to say, I've run into Matty Lyon just about every night when I get back to the hotel and walk in the hallway. There's Matty Lyon.
Smiling away,
I don't know
sure.
if he's waiting for me
or what the story is.
Blair's not home yet. I can't go to bed.
I got to wait for. I haven't seen Blair yet. Wow. Matty Lyon, an outstanding individual. I always enjoyed playing against him. A heck of a ball player and top-notch guy off the field. So I think that's one of the things that are forgotten, the camaraderie around the park and for these tournaments, is that ball's laced through the left side for a base hit. So Hiller jumped all over that changeup, shot a 2-out single into left, and that will take us to the top of the shop in Alan Piquet. And Piquet, responsible for the only run of this ball game so far, singled, stole the base, and came in on a Colin Walsh RBI single. That, of course, in the first. And Chapman starts him off with a nibble outside for a ball.
Well, Adam Hiller hitting in the 9 spot is another example of how this lineup has matured and changed over the years, too. He used to be a middle-of-the-order guy, but as players have been added to the lineup, Adam has slipped down. His game hasn't changed, but that's where he hits now in the Cubs lineup, and he's still got some speed, but power as well, and a terrific guy in that 9 spot.
A pitch in there for a strike from Chapman.
On Saturday night, the Cubs were trailing the Bar on the Avenue Buzz 3-2 into the bottom of the 7th, and it was Adam Hiller with a solo home run to tie the game in the 7th. That set the stage for the Mata heroics in the 9th.
Good cut there as he fouled that one straight back. Maybe Chapman might need to do a little adjusting between him and Merriman. Probably not a good idea to put that one on a platter again for Piquet. Not after that twist. And runner goes, and it's bounced in, so a good job by Hiller as he swipes the bag clean. And now again another runner in scoring position, and same scenario as in the first, stolen base. We'll see if this time Piquet can be the one to deliver the clutch 2-out hit. Chapman missing down.
You know, you asked about, do you play the small ball game here? One, it's early in the innings, and no, I wouldn't have. But teams are doing a lot more what you just saw there. Selectively be able to get a stolen base to advance the runner up rather than electing to sacrifice an out.
So a good eye from Piquet as he draws a 2-out walk. So with 2 men aboard now, it'll be Colin Walsh, and of course it was Walsh that singled and cashed in the only run of this ball game. As a hitter, you always like to get your next at bat sooner rather than later. So 2 innings, 2 at bats, you got to hold well for you if you're one of the Cubs. That one gets away, and the runners will advance. So 2 runners now in scoring position on the wild pitch, and Walsh now will have a chance to add to his RBI total.
One of the hardest things to do is to be consistently great. You see it from Adam Folkert.
Lined up the middle, base hit. 1 run's going to come in to score. Rounding third, no chance to get Piquet, and it's 3-0 for the Cubs.
Well, Colin Walsh adding to his RBI total. He's driving in all the runs here, but it's because he's getting the table set for him by Piquet and Adam Hiller at the bottom of the order, and that's exactly what you want those guys to do with the speed, is to get on base and then let the boppers come up, and Walsh, Zera, and Mata. And that's exactly what the Cubs made to order right now.
So the second time they've manufactured a run, this time they get 2 on the RBI single from Walsh, who again has been a man on a mission, have driven in all 3 runs here for the Cubs, and now Juan Zara will get a chance here to keep this inning alive.
Lance, just to finish that thought, it's hard to be consistently great. We see it from Adam Folkert all the time, and he is.
And once again, that pitch is lined out to the left center gap, and if you're a Cubs fan, you might want Blair to start that sentence all over again, because it seems every time he does, good things happen for the Cubs. And let's try that again about the greatness, Blair.
Well, I'm going to pick up the thought. Daniel Chapman has had a couple of great outings now. He looks a little off tonight, and this is the difference, and he'll get this as his game matures and he matures as a pitcher. To be that consistently great, that's what separates Adam Falkert and some of the other top pitchers in the game from the guys who are coming up still like Daniel Chapman.
Well, we see the evolution of pitchers. It always takes them, it seems, a little bit longer, since they've got a much tougher job than the position players, as Mata took a big rip at the first pitch. And I checked the count. I believe it's no balls, 1 strike. So Mata singled in his first and only other at bat. So a chance here to, at the very least, cash one. And that ball is lifted up. It's drifting, and will stay in play. And a nice grab over there by Sabate as he climbed the ladder and had a big play to get a big out in Mata and retire the side, but not before the Cubs push 2 more runs across. 3-0 the score. We're back here on the ISC Network.
The annual Boys of Summer Tournament is held every July at Circle Tap Bar and Grill in Denmark, Wisconsin. We host some of the top teams in the game at one of the best venues in softball. The atmosphere of old-time fast pitch with all of the amenities of a full-service bar and grill on the grounds can't be beat. Reduced-rate hotels about 10 minutes from the park are available in Green Bay. To bring your team to the annual Boys of Summer Tournament next July, contact Dean Kane at ct16@greenbaynet.com. Thanks to Circle Tap for their support of the broadcast program.
When you're in St. John's, Newfoundland, you're at home. And you're never more at home than when you're at Kelly's Pub, right on famous George Street. Traditional live music and some of the best fish and chips in the city are what you'll get at Kelly's. One of the top fastball sponsors in the country is right here in St. John's. Kelly's Pub, live music, great food, and friendly service. Right around the corner is 3 Cheers Pub, home of the 3-time Canadian national champions. 3 Cheers is downtown St. John's friendly pub. Affordable drinks and great staff with buckets all day, every day. 3 Cheers Pub is a proud fastball sponsor. Kelly's Pub and 3 Cheers Pub, come and make yourself at home.
Back here at the Peter Hallman Ball Yard, Lance Wynn, Blair Setford, joined by a special guest, of course, the head honcho for Team Canada, and Mr. John Stewart. John, thanks very much for joining us. And let me just ask you up front and frank, what are you doing here and what are you looking for?
Well, we've tried to up our budget a little bit with Softball Canada to get out to see more events. All of our coaches will be here this week. Of course, John Hill's coaching with Hill United, so he's here all week. Myself and Les Howie just arrived this afternoon, and Doug Allen's coming tomorrow. We just want to see some of the guys that we have on our athletes pool, get a little intel on some of the competition, and this is, in my opinion anyways, this park here is probably the best park to host the ISCs. I love coming here. I don't think I've been here since the last time I coached a club team, so it's great to be back. I love this, and you can't beat the pie. I've already had one.
So there you go.
Which one did you have?
Apple.
Apple?
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell you that there are several others that are really good too.
Listen, Blair's not just a pretty face, and not even that. So that ground ball sneaks by, but a good job at short by Dan Mitchell to get Brandon Miners for the first out of the inning. And that'll bring up the designated player in Dan Alstad.
John, Lance and I were just talking an inning or so ago about how international the game has really become, and you just mentioned the opportunity to get the scouting reports, and I mean you've got 2 good young pitchers here who are in opposition, but there's some good young Canadian pitchers coming up too. Tyler Randerson having a really good week here at the ISC. Absolutely,
Tyler's been on our radar for a couple of years now, and we've taken him to an event and had him at a couple of camps, and he's definitely, he's close by our national team for sure. And like you said, Blair, there is a lot of young talent in Canada. We had a 38 athletes at our camp here in June, and just some of the guys that you really don't get a chance to see a lot of, and we got to see them. It was just really happy with the progress that the Canadians are putting in, and that'll be evident at the Canadian Senior Men's Nationals this year as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a much broader representation at the Canadian Men's Championship coming up in St. Croix in a couple of weeks down in Nova Scotia. Obviously, I'm sure you and the staff will be there as well. And representation virtually from across the country this year, unlike a couple of the past ones, which honestly have been a little thin.
Well, Les and I driving in from the airport were saying that it could be the most competitive Senior Men's Nationals in a decade. And we put out an email in the fall stressing how important it was for our athletes in the athlete pool to go to Canadian Nationals, and if they wanted to be seriously considered for the national team, we highly recommended they go to the Senior Nationals. We're going to pick our team right after that event this year, a little bit different in years in the past, but we want to see them all there.
So just to pick up on that particular thread, you're picking the 17-man team, or are you getting it down to a 25-man roster for the World Cup, which is in the Czech Republic in June of 2019?
So no, we plan on picking our 17-man roster with 5 alternates for injuries or whatever the case may be, and then we'll come up with a program, a training program, communication program for us to start basically October 1st.
So essentially down to 23 out of the 38.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the 2019 schedule. You have obviously the World Cup that starts June 13th, I believe, in Prague in the Czech Republic. What's the build-up for that for Team Canada?
Well, we've got some ideas that we're bouncing around, nothing concrete. We're definitely going to have a camp beforehand. We're talking about possibly bringing the team out to Kelowna for May Days, because that's been a good tournament in the past. The weather's usually pretty good. Playing in that tournament, if we can get some sponsorship and help financially that way, we're in the process of just looking at that. Also, we'll most likely have a camp out here in Kitchener, and then we're probably going to head to Prague about a week early.
So a couple of tune-up games in Prague. After that, the Pan Ams. Let's chat about Santo Domingo. Bit of disappointment that you guys may not be going to Lima at this point.
Yeah, it was very disappointing, and that'll go back to my email about having the players at the Canadian Nationals, and we had in Santo Domingo there we had 11 players on our 15-man roster that had never put on a national team jersey before, and that's no knock against them that we didn't qualify because they played their hearts out. There was a lot of other circumstances there with the hurricane and whatnot. No excuses. We just didn't come through, and it's very disappointing for sure.
Following up to 2019 with Prague, you've been stressing the importance of the Nationals, bypassing an opportunity to go to this Intercontinental Cup and see some international competition. Is it more important for you to get the view of the players amongst their peers here in Canada as opposed to competing internationally in that test event?
Well, it's more important for us to name the team, get some team building, get some camaraderie, see what our character is going to be like with what you guys do now, and with all the video from around the world that we can get. We have a pretty good handle on our international competition. It's more important for us to build our team, to get the character and just the whole atmosphere of the team as one before we head off to a World Championships.
It's been a while since you've been on the road with the team. Of course, the last 2 World Cups, as they're called now, have been in Canada, Saskatoon, and then Whitehorse. How much different is the preparation for going international?
Well, for one thing, the hardest part is for these athletes to get so much time off work, because it's a lot of, they're doing this for the love of the game. There's no pay in it for them. There's nothing. They got to take time off work. So that's one obstacle we have to get through. The other one is we have to get acclimatized to where we're going. I can go back to 2012 I think it was 2012 or 2013 in New Zealand, and we got out there a week or so early, and we're just going to do a few things different than we did when we were away in New Zealand, just practice-wise, getting the team ready, making sure we're prepared.
We're going to take a quick break here. We're chatting with John Stewart, the head coach of the Canadian men's national team. Stay with us here. Actually, you know what? We'll just roll right with it, as it looks like we're right into play here. John, any surprises that you see? Do you think that there's somebody out there that is going to pop up onto the radar screen, or do you know, with the coverage now, is there there's no surprises left anymore, I guess?
For the competition you're speaking?
Well, no, not necessarily for the well, let's talk about the competition too, but more specifically the players right now. You get an opportunity to see everybody much more comprehensively than, say, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's no real surprises that someone's going to come out of nowhere and we're going to feel we've missed them. So for us, there's probably going to be 4 or 5 spots changing from our team from last year in the Yukon, and that's and we're going to have, I would say, out of those 4 or 5 spots, 4 or 5 of them are going to be really, really tough, and there's going to be some tough conversations and hard phone calls after the fact. But the competition is what we want.
Thinking then of the international competition, obviously New Zealand comes to mind, also Australia.
Yeah. New Zealand, I mean, they're the best in the world. They're the defending champs. Australia is always right there, but I mean, we can't overlook Japan, Venezuela, Argentina, of course, Mexico. All these teams they're so much better, and we witnessed that in the Dominican in September. Just the Cubas, the Puerto Ricos. But getting back to your question, yeah, New Zealand's the defending champs, and they're a target of every team, just like Australia is, and just like we are for some of the other teams.
How do you rate the relationship with Softball Canada now, with the ISC? There have been a number of programs over the years with sharing of umpires, and it seems like the organizations are a little bit closer together than they've been in the past. At the end of the day, all of the players are still the same.
Absolutely, you're right, and I think it has gotten closer over the years, and I think that's a benefit to the game in general, and I think it's a long time overdue that the relationship has gotten a lot better. I know even from when I was coaching club team in Vancouver, my last year was 2009. It wasn't the friendliest of relationships, let's put it that way. And I'm not saying on whose part it was, because it was probably a little bit on both parts, but I think the relationship has gotten way better, and it's a very positive sign for everybody in the game.
Well, and that is a testament, I think, to the understanding that at the end of the day, it's a small pie with the players and the umpires, and ultimately at the end of the day, it's for everybody's betterment to grow the game. What's the long-term view for Team Canada and being able to turn over the team over the next couple of cycles?
Well, to be honest, there's going to be a handful of guys, I would say half a dozen guys that are probably, and I'm talking younger guys here who haven't really been played at the international level yet, that are not going to make our team for 2019. And the only reason they're not going to make it is because of the numbers. And that's a good testament. We looked at it. We looked at our camp, and we got some of these young guys, these young pitchers like Tyler Anderson, and young players like Tyler Pauly, and I could go on and on with these young guys, Blake Underwood, and it's just great to see these guys playing. And we've stressed that for the last couple of years, is we want these guys to be playing at the ISC level. This is where it's at. This is where we need to see you play. It's one thing to play local. It's one thing to play in a and I don't want to say it in a negative manner, but a lower tier and be successful. But if you can be successful at the ISC level, on the tour, I call it, then you're going to get noticed by us and you're going to have a real good shot. So our turnover is going to probably be, by 2021, I would say probably close to 50%.
We're chatting with John Stewart, the head coach of the Canadian men's national team. John, just as we wrap up here, tell us about the things that you're looking for, without mentioning player names, but just some of the skill sets that you're looking for as you're here on your scouting trips.
We're looking for good at-bats. You know, it's something that I've stressed since I came on board, is just body language and attitude in certain situations, whether that's a negative or a positive, how players handle a setback, whether it's a strikeout or if a pitcher's getting hammered pretty good, how their next at-bat is or how their next inning is. We want to see what their composure is. We want to see how they're doing against the top guys from New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, Venezuela, the U.S. You know, so it's important for us to get to see these guys somewhat out of their element a bit from their local club teams or at some of the not top level tournaments. So it's a real advantage for us to all be here this week.
Okay, well, John Stewart, listen, we thank you for coming by. Enlightening conversation as always, and it sounds like the competition is going to be fierce for some of these spots on Team Canada. All of us will be watching with bated breath for that team announcement when that comes out. You said by about October 1st. Yeah, where the Canadian senior men's is going to be very competitive. We're really excited about that, and thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. I always enjoy talking to you guys, and keep up the good work. You're doing a great job. Great. John Stewart, head coach of the Canadian men's national team. Thanks for joining us here on the ISC Network. Lance, a lot of action there as we talked with John Stewart. Cubs bring in another run.
They did on a good piece of hitting, but that ground out there by Alan Piquet ends the inning and the threat. But not before they strike for another. You manufacture, that's what happens. 4-0 to score in favor of the Cubs. We'll be back here for the fourth in a moment.
Peligro Sports provides the essentials needed to give your team an edge on the field. Our brand is rooted in creating a unique experience tailored to the specific needs of your team to ensure your performance is at the best level to execute plays. At Peligro Sports, we rally behind our athletes and understand their fight to take their game to a dangerous level. Visit our store at 2200 Amsterdam Avenue in New York City or see us online at peligrosportsnyc.com. Thanks to Jose and Peligro Sports for their support of the broadcast program.
To an ISC event? Then stop waiting. Check out our website or social media pages to see when the next event will be near you and come be a part of the experience.
Come back here to Kitchener, Ontario, site of the 2018 ISC World Tournament. Lance Wynn, Blair Setford. Once again, always glad to have you with us. Our Sports Canada TV crew in the house as well, doing a fantastic job. And it will be the top of the shop for the Norsemen in Minneguti, Sabate, and Merriman. And that ball just drifting foul out of play behind the backstop. So Minneguti is struck out in his first and only at bat, that to lead off the ball game. And Blair, a good conversation with John Stewart, the head coach of the Canadian national team. Didn't skirt around the fact that the last tournament wasn't as successful as he would have liked. So certainly a lot of respect for that, and a lot of respect for the fact that you make adjustments, you assess what you've got, and you're looking to get better, and that seems to be what Team Canada's planning on doing.
It kind of sounds to me like Team Canada is going to come with a vengeance to the Czech Republic in June. I mean, they're getting serious, naming the team, or at least the core 23 players, 17 plus 5 alternates, pretty early in the process. And that team is going to be given the opportunity to gel, it sounds like, and go over to the Czech Republic on a mission, which will be to regain that gold medal that they had in 2015 and frankly let slip out of their grasp in 2017. And then kind of the ultimate disappointment, not even qualifying for the Pan Am Games.
It's Matty Lyons, bare hand, doesn't have a chance though. Minigudi, just too much speed. So a good job to lay that one down. Leadoff man aboard with an infield hit. And that will bring up the first baseman and number 2 hitter in Cisco Sabate.
Well, we'll see if that gives Ostrander some momentum, because Huemo Mata had been perfect to that point, and sometimes you do need to play a little small ball to get yourself on a bit of a roll. And when you've got the speed of Matias Minigudi, that's an easy thing to do.
I think if Matty Lyon had the scouting report, he would have probably been in a couple more steps on that. And again, bunting with coming up empty, though, and the count now, no balls and a strike.
We'll keep an eye on Minigudi to see if he goes. Cruzera's got a great arm behind the plate for the Cubs.
And Mata goes to work on the outside corner. Can't find the mark. 1 ball, 1 strike. And you're right, Blair. Up to that point, there have been no hits. So lay it down, make the defense do some work, see if you can't stir the pot, so to speak. And now the question is, can you follow up with something while you've got a runner on first?
Well, down 4-0, you're probably past the point of bunting at this point, but I would still like to see perhaps Minigudi attempt to steal a base. You do need some base runners here, so I understand not wanting to put him at risk as well.
And again, slap attempt comes up empty, and not sure why guys continue to do that. If you haven't perfected the art, it takes a lot. So down goes Sabate, and that will bring up Ryan Merriman, the catcher.
Ryan Merriman was the co-author of that win the other night over the J&B Bombers. A home run late in the game off of Devin McCullough for J&B. And Ryan Merriman, there's some great video actually of the at-bat. It's on our ISC Canada East Facebook page. You can find it there. It's a phone shot video, but a great shot of Ryan's at-bat.
Pitch bounced in there from Mata at a changeup. Apologize for the extra bodies you may see in your screen periodically as the crowd shifts around. And
well, our camera is kind of really literally mixed right in with the crowd there, and as people move from seat to seat, they're not always quite respectful of the fact that they're walking across the camera line.
The runner goes, throw down from his knees. A good job to keep it in the infield. So Dan Mitchell, Adam Hiller did a good job to extend and knock that down and keep it from costing them another base.
Yeah, Adam Hiller got to the bag and then had to lay out in the opposite direction of his momentum as the throw was on the first base side of the bag. Lucky he didn't get caught up with the sliding runner. But again, use your speed and put some pressure on the defense. And I like that now that you've got a runner in scoring position for Ryan Merriman.
Well, I think back to a couple of the games that I did on Sunday, the second day 2 of this tournament, and it was the same sort of concept. Not a lot of bunting, but guys were stealing. And in past years, you haven't really seen that a whole lot. You have 1 or 2 guys that would really take the liberties. Now, I think you're right. It's a good thing. You're putting the pressure on the defense, making them prove that they can make a perfect throw and get you out. And if not, you take the liberties and take that base.
And a lot of times that's exactly what it takes, is it does take that perfect throw. In days past, when you had guys who weren't blessed with the speed that Minigudi has or that Picard has, you could make a less than perfect throw and still get somebody stealing. Not so much anymore.
3-2 count here to Merriman. 4-0 in favor of the Cubs. First time they've had a runner in scoring position, have the Norsemen, and a good cut. Not able to keep that in fair territory as Merriman fouls that one straight back. Certainly a good crowd on hand here on this Wednesday evening. Weather is perfect. They're calling for some rain tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to rain.
You're making that prediction, are you?
Yeah, making a prediction. I'm not going to do an Ed Otterman. I'm not going to do that to anybody. I'm just going to
bring the rain,
throw it out there and say the forecast is for. But I think it's going to hold off.
Well, let's hope so. We have a lot of games scheduled tomorrow and not a lot of room to move them around. So fingers crossed that the rain does hold off here in Kitchener and we can get through the 2018 ISC World Tournament without a weather delay. It's been fantastic weather here thus far this week. It was pretty toasty out there on the diamond at high noon earlier today, but
toasty's an understatement, man. That's 30 plus out there. Okay, so I'm glad you said it was toasty. That is flat out hot.
Yeah, it was. It was hot out there. And I'll tell you something. I learned yesterday why I had never chosen black pants and black jerseys before. 30 seconds of having one of those combos on and convinced me I'd been right all along.
Blair was in the steam box, was he? As that looked like a strike. Mata wanted it, didn't get it. Merriman with a walk, and now there are 2 men aboard for Federico Olheiser. So we'll see if Mata can regroup here and find his rhythm with just 1 away and 2 aboard. So a chance here for Ostrander to, at the very least, cash in a run, get back in this ball game. With Mata on the hill, he gets stronger and can be tougher as that one's flared out, but Hiller doing a good job of closing that gap and making the grab. So a pop out to the second baseman by Olheiser for the second out, and it'll be now up to Callum Carson to keep this inning alive and move the runners along. Carson got caught looking in the second in his only other at bat. Mata comes in with a called strike right down the middle of the plate. So Carson clearly taking all the way. Not quite sure what the conference would be between Zara and Mata, but it's a short one.
I'm just going to guess they went to the alternate set of signs with a runner on second base would be my guess.
Probably a good guess. And a swing and a miss. Chased the rise ball up out of the zone.
Turned up the dial a little bit there. Huimo Mata just kind of reared back and blew that one right on by.
So Mata working with an 0-2 count here. 2 away and 2 aboard. And that one fouled straight back. So Mata came in on the hands. Good job by Carson to get the arms extended enough to get a piece of it and live to see another pitch. So again, another quick conference, and this time it included the corners as well.
Carson came in 3 for 5. Joe Todd put together some great notes for us here tonight.
As Mata, the landing spot, just a little bit off there.
Well, I can tell you that issues with the landing zone started in the top of the first inning in the 9 a.m. game because we were in it, and our opponent did everything except bring a backhoe out to excavate a giant pothole where the landing zone exists, and we were filling it back in and getting it tamped down, and it would come along and excavate it again. And I'm sure that's happened over the course of this. I'm not pointing the finger at any one guy. I'm sure that's happened over the course of the day.
Now, was that being dug up on the actual motion of the delivery, or is it being dug up purposely?
No, it was purposely dug up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The only thing we were missing were some flashing lights and a pylon.
That ground ball to Matt Lyons at third, over to first in time. So a good hold there. The rally is squashed. No runs, just one hit and 2 runners left aboard. We're going to mosey on down to the home half of the fourth when we come back.
A legendary pitcher. Unbreakable records.
That's got a mile. Goes a mile high to the wall, to the track. Saved by baseball.
And that ball is lifted up and going back to left field. What a great grab. Off speed is deep, and you can get out of this ballpark.
5 Hall of Famers. 3 World Championships.
And that ball is driven out deep.
Hit from Parker is driven deep. Shane Boland to the fence. Hits.
Whatever your delivery requirements are across North America, Skelton Truck Lines provides you with reliable, safe, and high-quality service at a fair price. Skelton Truck Lines equipment is satellite tracked and delivers small parcel, less than truckload, and expedited shipments throughout Canada and the U.S. With over 50 years of experience and more than 50 trucks serving 4 divisions, Skelton Truck Lines is a thriving Ontario business and a proud fastball sponsor. Visit us online at skeltontruck.com. Thanks to Mike Skelton for supporting the broadcast program.
Back here in Kitchener, Ontario, Lance Wynn, Blair Setford. Thanks for riding along with us here on day 5 of competition. It's game number 56. It'll be the 2-3-4 hitters for the Cubs, leading 4-0 over the Ostrander Norsemen. And it'll be Colin Walsh, who has been a real problem for the Norsemen today. 2 for 2, 3 RBIs.
Colin came in batting 4 for 8, so now 6 for 10 with 3 RBIs at the very least. And
it's not a bad
having a good event
as he stays hot with a base hit to center. So 3 for 3 is Colin Walsh. And leadoff man aboard for the Cubs, and that will bring up the number 3 hitter in Juan Zara. Well, when you're hot, you're hot. And Blair, you saw that with your team. Really in this game, that hitting is contagious really is meaningful. It is true 100% in this game.
Oh, it just spreads from guy to guy to guy, and it goes all the way through the dugout. And when you can get on that kind of roll, you can put up crooked numbers in a hurry, 4 or 5 runs in an inning, and you can demoralize an opponent very quickly that way as well. We took a team out of the game in the first inning twice this afternoon by putting up big numbers in the first.
Well, you put up big numbers in the first, the temperature dial goes up, and all of a sudden people's motivation tends to go down. And I think that's got to be if you can do it, of course, that's the way you work it. As Chapman wanted that call on the outside corner, didn't get it. Zara 1 for 2. He's got himself a single. That came in the second. Took a little off, and that's in there for a strike. 2 balls, 1 strike.
9 hits for the Cubs, and we're only here in the bottom of the 4th inning. That's a lot of lumber on the baseball, so to speak.
And Chapman comes back with a rise ball right at the letters. Zara sort of looking around, wondering, but it's in there for a called strike. So the sun is finally set, and now it's full lights as that ball is lifted up, but standing under it is Carson. He makes the grab, and attempting to tag and caught in no man's land and out on the play. So Colin Walsh doing it with the bat, not so much on the bases. And that leadoff single goes for naught, as just like that now there are 2 away. And that will bring up your cleanup hitter in Himo Mata.
Well, that's not a play that Colin Walsh wants to make in front of the Team Canada brass either. Colin, of course, a member of the team that went up to Whitehorse and did some pitching and got injured early in the tournament, unfortunately for Colin, and didn't see much playing time after that early injury. But these are the little things now that the coaching staff is looking for, and that honestly was just a brain cramp there by Colin Walsh.
Well, hopefully the fact that he's 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs will nullify that fact.
That certainly is a mitigating factor.
Not too bad. Not too bad. If you're going to make that error, at least, get the 3 hits before. As a big cut there from Mata, but I say a big cut. Mata does not have anything but a big cut.
No, he only takes big cuts. It reminds me a lot of the guy who's going into the Hall of Fame next year, along with the side of Darren Derricks, was Patty Shannon. You and I saw a lot of Patty Shannon over the years, and he never took a small cut.
No, there's nothing about cutting down on your swing for Patty Shannon. There's a legendary ball player for sure, and someone definitely worthy of finding his way into the Hall.
Another guy going into the Hall next year will be Corey Garou, longtime member of the Farm Tavern. In 2007, when the Farm won the ISC World Tournament here.
Great play at third base, and a nice job by Luke King to record the out and take a base hit away from Mata. No runs, 1 hit, nobody left aboard. And we are going to do our slide to 5 when we come back here on the ISC Network.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3, and the Kitchener River Shark Twins repeat. Back-to-back Jets! It's the local kid who wins it.
Swing and a miss. Jarvis. 3-peats.
Adam Falter. Absolutely. Here comes the throw to the plate. Are the world champions. 2015 ISC Men's World Champions.
Hallman has hit the game-winning home run, and the Toronto Gators are world champions.
Finally, it's Adam on to first, and the United Chiefs back to the top of the mountain.
ISC Canada East, home of champions.
If a man runs for president, interviews for a high-level job, or needs a good table at a smart restaurant, chances are he'll be wearing a suit. Mr. Ned is your custom tailor in New York City. Located at 137 Fifth Avenue, we provide our clients with the highest quality custom suits at affordable pricing. Our range of fabrics is second to none and will fit the needs of any well-dressed professional. Whether it be everyday business attire or a special occasion, we have the ability to make you a man of distinction. Visit the store at 137 Fifth Avenue in New York or see us online at MrNedNYC.com. We thank Mr. Ned and Var Matosian for generously supporting the broadcast program.
Back here for our slide to 5. For the Norsemen, it'll be 6, 7, 8 hitters in Luke King, Brandon Miners, and Dan Alstad, the scheduled 3 hitters. Trailing by 4 runs as Himio Mata and the Cubs have been in control of this game. And Blair, do you like what you see? I mean, we've talked a lot about Mata and what Mata's done, and you certainly have to stop. You look at the sheet and say, hey, he's getting the job done, and that's kind of what we expected.
Only 1 hit allowed so far by Himo Mata. It was the infield single to the speedster, Matthias Miniguti. He's been in lock solid control all the way along here. And, they had 2 guys on, but they didn't even really feel like a threat. He got a pop-up and a ground ball. Just feels to me like he's got this one going right now.
Missing with that one down in the dirt to Luke King. King, of course, was caught looking to end the second, this being his second at bat of the ball game.
And Lance, for people who didn't see it, the press release was out first thing this morning on the people who will be going into the Hall of Fame in 2019. We talked about Darren Derricks, who will as a sponsor and a contributor to the game. Circle Tap will be hosting next year. It's Darren Derricks basically who is doing that on his own. He is bearing the entire responsibility of bringing the World Tournament to Denmark, Wisconsin. He is the one who is financially bringing the ISC. It's not a Parks and Rec department. It's not a Visitors Convention Bureau. It is Circle Tap and Darren Derricks. Corey Giroux going into the Hall of Fame. Patrick Shannon going into the Hall of Fame. Of course, two legendary players of the 2000s. A legendary player of the 80s and early 90s was Jimmy Seaman, who is now known by Jimmy Wana from New Zealand. Won 4 ISC championships with Pencor National Healthcare out of Sioux City, Iowa, back in the late 80s, early 90s. As a 19-year-old, won the top pitcher award here in the ISC World Tournament in the late 80s. He will be going into the Hall of Fame alongside of Corey Giroux and Patrick Shannon. In the manager category, very proud to announce Terry Bader will be joining the ISC Hall of Fame as a field manager. 61-16 is his record over 11 years. A .792 winning percentage, 4 ISC World Championships, 3 with the Toronto Gators, 1 with the Tampa Bay Smokers. Terry Bader going in as a field manager.
Jeez, and I just thought he just had a good afro. Huh. A little more than that, TB. Way to go, baby.
Terry will be here tomorrow. He'll be joining us on the broadcast. I'll be sure to let him know that you complimented him on his hair.
Please do. He knows I always do. It's kind of been that little half-roll thing we've had going on now for a few years. He understands where I'm coming from. I know where he's coming from. We're good, Blair. Saw Brandon Miners swing through. 2 balls and 1 strike to count here with 1 away. And Mata missing down.
So those are the 5 members who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame breakfast. John Thompson will be running that again in 2019 in Denmark. Does an absolutely wonderful job of it. He's been doing that for several years. Hopefully he will continue beyond 2019. We love the way that John produces the breakfast. It's become a staple, of course, of the ISC week here at the ISC World Tournament opening Sunday.
And Mata in there for a called strike. So missed on the drop a pitch ago. Came back with a good hard fastball right at the knees. And the count now is full, 3-2. Took something off, but couldn't bring it down in the zone. So Mata misses up. Miners works a walk. And that will bring up Dan Alstat, the designated player, who was caught looking in the 3rd. I think the crowds tomorrow are going to be exceptional all the way up to Championship Saturday.
Well, let's take a quick look at the schedule. The Hallman Twins are playing at noon. And that hopefully will be a draw here for the crowd. The Twins, as they almost usually do, lost on Tuesday when they host the ISC World Tournament, knocking them into the losers bracket. That was a 2-0 decision last night to the Circle Tap Dukes.
Well, you bring up the Dukes, and they apparently appear to be the talk so far the first few days of the tournament. I mean, Circle Tap was always a team that came in with a very heavy reputation, didn't always live up to that reputation over the course of a number of years, but now there appears to be a resurgence, and boy, oh boy, they certainly look good here this week.
Yeah, I think so. They're certainly on course to be playing on Championship Saturday. A lot of ball to be played between now and then. Toronto Batmen, who were in the Final Four last year, were knocked out today by the Kansas City Monarchs. Bear Bottom Lodge eliminated Bar on the Avenue. The J&B Bombers rebounded from that loss to Ostrander. They've reeled off a couple of wins over Dolan and Murphy, and today versus the Elmira Expos. On the top of the bracket, Kegel have advanced. They beat the Rio Grande Senators, and they will be playing tomorrow at 10 a.m. Kitchener will be taking on the KC Monarchs. That game is at noon. Nith River, they will be playing, I believe it's the Bear Bottom Lodge team, if I am reading my schedule right, and I'm not. So we'll have to bring that bracket up to date, and we'll fill you in on tomorrow's schedule before we leave tonight.
Hallstatt could not put that rise ball in play, but had a healthy cut at it. Fouled it straight off the backstop, and he's behind in the count now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 away, runner aboard, courtesy a 1-out walk from Mata. And that, of course, being Brandon Miners. That pitch from Mata, missing down. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mata certainly takes his time. Took something off. Ground ball to short. Over to second for 1. Over to first in time. Picture perfect. 6-4-3 inning ending double play for the Cubs. So much for the threat. Down go the Norsemen. We will continue our slide to 5, heading to the home half. Back after this.
Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM, operating from the 6 nations of the Grand River Territory, is dedicated to the promotion of Indigenous culture, positive initiatives, language, and music to our youth. We offer a unique blend of top 40, hip-hop, R&B programming, and Indigenous music. You can count on Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM to help your voice be heard. Our interactive call-in shows feature locally produced news, sports, health, current affairs, and social issues. Unique programming with an Indigenous perspective. Listen live at jukasaradio.ca or download the Jukasa Radio app free from your app store.
To an ISC event? Then stop waiting. Check out our website or social media pages to see when the next event will be near you and come be a part of the...
Back here as we continue our slide to 5, it'll be 5, 6, 7 and Blake Underwood, Dan Mitchell, and Bob Gillow set to face Daniel Chapman here in the home half of the 5th inning. Cubs leading this one 4-0. They've out-hit the Norsemen 9-1. So we'll see here if Chapman can minimize and make it a quick inning like he did in the 4th. Surrendered a leadoff single, but a base running error got him out of it. Then he induced a fly ball and a ground ball, and just like that, they were out of the inning. So I'm sure he would love another one of those. That was the only 1, 2, 3 inning he's had up to this point. And that one hung up and fouled back out of play. Good twist there from Underwood. Underwood is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. And another good twist. Took a hand off the top of that bat. Taking a rip at that one did Underwood. And Chapman misses down. So the count now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Man, this is where the Cubs can't get complacent. They have to try as half-hearted swing. Down goes Underwood. First out of the bottom of the 5th, and that'll bring up Dan Mitchell. And Blair, hard not to get complacent. You got a 4-run lead, but you're only in the 5th. Still a couple of at-bats left for your opponent, so anything can happen. 4 runs in this game isn't a lot.
No, these are the innings that you've got to grind through. You can't lose focus in the 5th and the 6th. The 7th is almost in sight, but you've got to get there first. And you've got to make sure you do the things that you did that you were successful with earlier in the game. You don't want to be chasing pitches like that up and out of the zone. You want to go up there confident with a game plan and look for your pitch and your spot and attack it when you get it.
And Chapman comes back, went with the rise ball, got Mitchell to chase, came back with a drop outside, and the count even 1 ball, 1 strike.
Conversely, as a pitcher, you know, again, you've got to grind through these innings and make sure that you don't give in and throw in a flat one that costs you a run.
Well, again, it's only 4 runs. You get a couple here, 1 there, and all of a sudden it's a 3-2-run ball game and team's back in it. Important here, if you can somehow manage to manufacture another run, boy, that goes a long way to sticking the final nail in the coffin, despite the fact that it may only be a 5-run lead. Good hard hit ball, fielded it short over to first in time. So a good play there from Brandon Miners. 6-3 on the putout. 2 away now for Bob Gillow. Gillow 1 for 2 with a single.
As you see there with that shot, still a good crowd here for the co-hosts, the Hallman Cubs. They sometimes get short shrift between the bigger budget Twins. But obviously a very solid core local following.
Well, these Cubs, you're right. And you spoke about how long these guys have been together. These guys have played together for a while. And so you get your following. They're okay being the second team or the third team. They're pretty comfortable in their own skin, and they enjoy playing with each other. So, I mean, that's just the way you should do it in this game, especially when chemistry matters so much. That's why a team like these guys, you brought up Elmira, I'd throw Shakespeare in there. I'd even throw the Snappers in there as well, as guys that have been together for so long that chemistry matters. They don't need to worry about what another guy's doing. They already know. And I think that's a big factor as Gillow goes down, and so do the Cubs. 1, 2, 3, no runs, no hits. Back here for the 6th inning on the ISC network.
Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM, operating from the 6 nations of the Grand River Territory, is dedicated to the promotion of Indigenous culture, positive initiatives, language, and music to our youth. We offer a unique blend of top 40, hip-hop, R&B programming, and Indigenous music. You can count on Jukasa Radio 93.5 FM to help your voice be heard. Our interactive call-in shows feature locally produced news, sports, health, current affairs, and social issues. Unique programming with an Indigenous perspective. Listen live at jukasaradio.ca or download the Jukasa Radio app free from your app store.
Whatever your delivery requirements are across North America, Skelton Truck Lines provides you with reliable, safe, and high-quality service at a fair price. Skelton Truck Lines equipment is satellite tracked and delivers small parcel, less than truckload, and expedited shipments throughout Canada and the U.S. With over 50 years of experience and more than 50 trucks serving 4 divisions, Skelton Truck Lines is a thriving Ontario business and a proud fastball sponsor. Visit us online at skeltontruck.com. Thanks to Mike Skelton for supporting the broadcast program.
Come back to the Peter Hallman Ball Yard in Kitchener, Ontario, site of the 2018 ISC World Tournament. Lance Wynn, Blair Setford, bringing it to you here as the Ostrander Norsemen trailing the Hallman Cubs 4-0 here in the top of the 6th inning. It'll be 9-1-2 hitters as Augustin Gomez-Emmanuel grounded out to end the 3rd in his only other plate appearance, with a chance here, as you can see, a bit of a slapper, feet moving. So corners are pinched in and charging as that pitch from Mata missing outside. Oh, they call that a strike.
Yeah, hopefully umpire Freddie Malacha's rang up a strike on that particular pitch. So 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah.
On the swing or on the pitch?
I'm not sure either.
Okay, all righty.
Yeah, well,
we'll
you know what?
No, we'll leave that alone.
I'll be honest with you, that's the only pitch maybe that Freddie's been off on all night. I think he's been very consistent back there. I haven't seen anybody turn around going, what are you thinking about?
And we haven't mentioned anything at all, so that's always a good sign.
You get 1 pitch in 6 innings. That's not too bad.
Freddie, you're okay. You're all right. You're off the hook. No problem. So back to work is Mata, and he brings that one in there for a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and in his only other at-bat, Augustine just managed to get a bat on the ball as he seemed a bit overpowered by Mata. Not the first one, though, as Mata slips in the landing spot again and misses high to run the count even 2-2.
Well, you saw this in the previous game with Andrew Kirkpatrick. Now, not the first time that Andrew Kirkpatrick has gone down delivering a pitch either, but it is a little precarious out there, and I know the grounds crew had the clay bags that they were going to drop down on it.
Swing and a miss, so 7 strikeouts for Himio Mata. Leadoff man is erased, and then it takes us back to the top of the shop in Mateus Minaguti.
Mata's only faced 2 over the minimum with that double play ending the last inning. It was only the 4th where Ostrander was able to get a couple of base runners aboard, and that was really the only look that they've had at this game.
Mata has been extremely untouchable as that bunt attempt goes foul.
Yeah, Minaguti had that bunt single back in the 4th. That helped get a couple of base runners aboard. He got as far as second but was stranded there, and that's as far as anybody from Ostrander has got tonight.
Well, Mata's been really good. His control and command have been outstanding. And you got to give half that credit to Juan Zara doing the catching, but Zara's done a good job of keeping his pitcher focused and following those strict guidelines as to throw what I tell you to throw. As that bunt attempt, yes, he did. And he'll be in the hole now 0-2.
But you know what? He's complaining here to Freddie about that called strike. And that was not a called strike. That was on the swing. He had the bat out as he ran all the way up through the box. That means the bat is passing past the plate in the zone. That's a swing.
I agree. I wasn't even quite sure what he was arguing about. I thought that was an easy call. And a swing and a miss. So again, that art of slapping. In order to do that, not only do you have to have exceptional hand-eye, but you also have to lay off the rise ball because you're never going to hit a rise ball slapping it like that. So back-to-back strikeouts for Mata, and it will be Cisco Sabate that steps in for his 3rd look at Mata. He has grounded out and struck out.
Well, there was a big, healthy cut from Sabate, who was alternated between wanting to be the home run hitter and the slapper. And I think, for me personally, you go up there with one approach. Trying to switch gears midstream is pretty difficult.
Blair, you've played the game long enough, as have I, to know that you need to go up with one option. That's what you're going to do. If you want to step out, change that option, that's one thing. But don't think you're going to be doing anything on the fly. Doesn't work well in this game. The 1-1, Mata, good changeup. Swung through, and Mata now up in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Had difficulty with the landing zone again there, and I think that was a contributor to the decline in velocity with that particular pitch, and you see him out there now doing some landscaping. Sean Cleary could teach a course in foot landscaping and how to manicure your garden only using your cleats.
Cleary's very deliberate, that's for sure. Swing and a miss. So striking out the side, Himio Mata. Down go the Norsemen. No runs, no hits, and not even a sniff. We're about to mosey on down to the home half of 6 when we come back.
Does your game need work? Want to get better every game? Every at-bat? You need Lumberjack Sports and Exit Speed Swing. Focusing on exceptional quality and providing players with reliable, long-lasting product, Lumberjack Sports brings you in-game equipment and off-field workout gear designed and tested by top fastball player Nick Shales. Learn the 6 steps to the perfect swing and how the Exit Speed Swing developer can make it even better. Get more power from your swing and improve your game with Exit Speed Swing as Team Canada Junior Men's head coach Jeff Ellsworth walks you through hitting drills and training tips. Hard work, strength, and all-around commitment to getting the job done, and done right, is the motto for Lumberjack Sports and Exit Speed Swing. Learn from the best. Play like the best. Check out lumberjacksports.ca and exitspeedswing.com to put your game over the top.
Nick Shales and Jeff Ellsworth will be on the broadcast tomorrow night with their Hill United Chiefs, Lumberjack Sports, and Exit Speed. Guys, top athletes in the game getting involved with businesses now, Lance, and great to see those guys contributing here to the ISC network, and we're happy to have both Lumberjack Sports and Exit Speed Swing as sponsors, and hoping to get both Nick and Jeff Shales up here in the booth at some point to talk more about those particular enterprises.
Well, you know what? I think it's really a treat to see 2 world-class players taking something, a training tool, and developing it to utilize and make kids better. And I think that's fantastic. Of course, Nicky Shales with the Lumberjack line, you need good equipment to play good, and Ellsworth, you need good equipment to train well. So I think getting that from world-class ball players, as that one is lifted up by Matty Lyon, and under that is Olheiser for the first out. I think that in itself says a lot about the quality of what you're getting, because those guys obviously wouldn't put forth a terrible product or something that didn't work.
No, we had both Nick Shales with Lumberjack Sports, and he had some of the Exit Speed Swing developers with him at the Mitchell qualifier back in June, and took the opportunity to try on some batting gloves and try the Exit Speed Swing developer. And boy, what a difference. You swing that thing 5 times and you take it off your bat, and it feels like you've got a toothpick in your hands. It's crazy how that thing works.
So is it's sort of
but here's a testimonial.
Like
it
having
works.
the ring. It does, eh?
Well, it's better than having the ring, because you get the full range of motion all the way through your swing. It's not inhibited by having this
and your bat
phony,
doesn't just feel like it's heavy in one spot.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly it.
A pitch from Chapman, who was quietly minimized. I mean, he gave up a run in the first, gave up 2 in the second, and 1 in the third. He had probably a leadoff single in the fourth, but base running error, and then he mowed down the next 2. And then in the fifth, 1, 2, 3. So Chapman has been doing what he can do. The problem is no one's been able to touch Himi Omata. And like you said, Blair, with the exception of the 1 inning where Ostrander got their 1 hit, they've had nothing going on, and Mata's faced the minimum. That pitch in there for a called strike to Adam Hiller.
Well, Chapman's done a good job of limiting the damage. A bit of a rocky start in the first through the second. An error in the third certainly didn't help with the 4th run.
Down goes Hiller, swinging. First time they have solved him, as he was 2 for 2 before that at bat. And that'll take us to the top of the shop in Alan Piquet.
But to your point, he's really settled down on the 4th, 5th, and 2/3 of the way through the 6th. But again, now Piquet getting a 4th look at Daniel Chapman.
And that's always an issue, as Chapman starts him off with a strike. Singled in the first, stole the base, scored a run. Walked, scored a run in the second, and grounded out to end the third. And I like the fact, Blair, that all the other games on the Diamonds have wrapped up, but everyone seems to have flown over here to catch the end of this one, as that pitch from Chapman missing just down and out. Winner of this game, of course, will get the New York Gremlins tomorrow in an undefeated game, and the other undefeated game, Hill United against the Circle Tap Dukes.
For those following the ISC 2 tournament, Irma Tigers 6-0 winners over the Alvinston Aces. Irma will go direct to the ISC 2 championship game, so they will be on the broadcast tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Ground ball right back to Chapman, over to first. So 1, 2, 3, down go the Cubs in order. We're going to head to the 6th inning, 4-0 in favor of the Cubs. Back here after this.
For all your team uniform and equipment needs, fastball, slow pitch, and hockey, for players and teams, make sure you visit Corbett's Source for Sports on the South Service Road in Oakville, Ontario. There's a lot of deals to be had on all kinds of equipment. Thank you to Paul Hurd and Corbett's Source for Sports for their generous sponsorship of the broadcast program.
Swung on and missed. Strike 3, and the Kitchener River Shark Twins repeat. Back-to-back Jets! It's the local kid who wins it.
Swing and a miss. Jarvis. 3-peats.
Adam Falker. Absolutely. Here comes the throw to the plate. Are the world champions.
2015 ISC Men's World Champions.
Hallman has hit the game-winning home run, and the Toronto Gators are world champions.
Fittingly, it's Adam on to first, and the United Chiefs back to the top of the mountain.
ISC Canada East, home of champions.
Back here, and I stand corrected, of course. It is not the top of the 6. It's the top of the 7. New pitcher for the Cubs, and last chance for the Norsemen. It'll be Don Scott, the hard-throwing right-hander, and this is a guy who's been around a while, and Blair, he still continues to get it done.
Donnie Scott, you might have seen him in there. He was a winning pitcher for the Jarvis Travelers back in 2011 when they won the ISC World Tournament. Donnie was the top pitcher that year. He has been in and around the top 4, top 5, boy, for I want to say close to 15 years here in the ISC, maybe a little bit less than that, but always successful, still hard throwing, as you said, and you just saw there, and he'll face the 3, 4, 5 batters for Ostrander.
So Ryan Merriman will be the first batter Scott sees, and the count now even 1 ball and 1 strike. He'll be followed by Olheiser and Carson represent the last opportunity here for the Norsemen, trailing by 4 runs. Scott can still rear back and bring it. That one missing outside. I guess some guys were just born to pitch, Blair, and Donnie Scott certainly one of them. Not quite sure that arm is ageless.
Well, Donnie, maybe the arm is ageless. Donnie will tell you that the rest of them certainly isn't, as he...
well, we all know that, though.
Yeah, you and I have already gone through that.
Yeah, exactly.
But Donnie had, thanks to Joe Todd's notes, Donnie, geez Louise, it is late. Donnie had an inning pitched and was pretty much perfect coming into this one in relief the other night.
Comes down, and after bringing the first pitch, comes back with 4 balls, and leadoff man's aboard courtesy of walk, and that will bring up the cleanup hitter in Federico Olheiser. Olheiser 0 for 2, the flyout and a pop-out.
Well, I don't think that's what Donnie Scott had in mind, walking the leadoff batter.
Well, when he does that, usually he just gets mad and starts throwing heat across the plate. And big swing and a miss there from Olheiser.
Yeah, you saw the heat right there, brought it right into your living room as Olheiser was well behind that pitch.
I think he may get a steady diet of rise balls here. You know, if you swing at one, you're going to get a steady diet as he comes back in tight. And We know Don Scott's not afraid to throw the inside pitches. And missing out. Now, it'd be hard to give Donnie Scott any advice. He's been in that circle for so many years. He's well aware of ways to settle down and settle in. Trying to close the door here and preserve this 4-0 win. And a swing and a miss. So way late on that fastball was Olheiser.
And I think Donnie is somewhat uniquely qualified for this so-called closer's role here, to come in and throw real hard for 1 inning. That's what you're expected to do. And this actually plays to where Donnie Scott is at right now, just missing inside with that pitch. But he come in and still has that velocity, maybe not the endurance to do that for 7 innings. But if you guys have to do it for 1 inning, you can probably do that.
Well, if he only has to face you one time, you're in trouble. You're at a bit of a disadvantage here as he walks the second consecutive batter he's seen. So a couple of close pitches he didn't get from home plate umpire Fred Malaches. And now with 2 men aboard, it'll be Callum Carson that comes up with a chance to make things interesting at the very least.
Well, this is the kind of look that Ostrander has been waiting for all game, quite frankly, the opportunity to get really close with one big swing. Donnie Scott, he's been pounding away on that inside corner on the righties, but he just hasn't been able to find the range with it yet.
Well, you know what? Donnie Scott, to me, has always been, a rise ball has always been his go-to pitch. And I've only seen him use it a couple times in these last 2 batters. You had a big man chasing the rise ball, and you only threw it to him twice, swung through both. As he's up in the count now, no balls and 2 strikes.
That's the side of the plate that he's been working on a lot here to the righties, and he just got that call from Fred Malaches there, and I think he moved it inside a couple of inches to get the edge of the plate.
Well, we'll see if he settles in here. Way up in the count, and that one's a ground ball. Fielded by the first baseman, flip over in time, just in time.
Well, give credit there to Adam Hiller, who came across and was able to find the bag while looking for the ball in the air, and right on the spot to make sure that he tagged the bag. John Hand, great positioning there by the first base umpire, and a great call.
So it'll be Luke King now, who has struck out in his previous 2 at-bats with 1 away and trailing by 4 runs, but with runners at second and third. So a chance here to get on the scoreboard, give his team some life here as they're down to their final 2 outs. Scott comes back inside corner for a strike. Infield at regulation depth. That ball, ground ball off Scott's knee. Matty Lyons going to chase it, fakes the throw, but that's going to be an infield hit. So that's going to load the bases on a very lucky bounce. Donnie Scott kept it in the infield, but even though Matty Lyon jumps on that with the bare hand, no chance to get King, and that'll bring up Brandon Miners.
Well, 1 run in, and we'll actually end up with runners on the corners because that run came across. I know you were watching the one play.
I was watching the one play, and thanks for picking me up on that. So 4-1 the score, and some life here with, like you said, Blair, runners on the corners here for Miners. Boy, you put your head down for a minute, watch the ball, and man.
Well, yeah, you were. It's funny because I know exactly where you were looking. You were watching Matty with the ball, but the guy kind of came underneath your field of vision.
Yeah, and I watched the throw going over, and totally forgot that that guy would have snuck right in there. And either way, 4-1 the score. Ball is fouled back. Miner's way late on that swing. But being late on a Donnie Scott offering is no big deal. It's more so the norm. I think the guys that have had the most success against him have been guys that have seen him a lot. If you haven't seen Don Scott a lot, you're probably going to fall victim. Ball up the middle.
Adam Hiller perfectly
Good
positioned.
job, and he does it himself. So Hiller unassisted ends the ball game. An outstanding job and a good job by Don Scott to come in and close the door. And Blair, do you like what you see? What are the chances now of the Cubs going up against the big boys in the New York Gremlins tomorrow?
Well, they're going to have to get an even better performance out of Huemo Mata. He was very, very good tonight. He's going to need to step it up to another level, and then the Cubs are going to have to bring their A game for the entire 7 innings. I felt like they kind of lost their focus after the fourth, after they had put up the 4 runs. They had that game on cruise control. You take your foot off the gas against a team like the Gremlins, and they'll make you pay for it. You've got to have that 7-inning focus. But with that said, I think certainly there's another gear to the Cubs game that they can take it to.
So 4-1 the final as the Hallman Cubs advance. They will take on, of course, the New York Gremlins tomorrow night. That right here on the ISC Network. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of my colleague Blair Setford, the entire ISC Network crew, of course, Sports Canada TV, I'm Lance Wynn. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.